Hello class, today I'm going to show you how to make an accordion book. I'm going to also show you some basic folding and gluing techniques. So the materials I have are a long strip of paper. It can be any paper, but if you're just doing a test, you probably don't want to use the fanciest paper, so something thinner is good. It's also easier to fold. I have my X-Acto knife or utility blade. I have a bone folder. Now this stuff is coming to you in your packet. If you don't have it yet, it's okay. If you don't have your kit yet, it's okay. You can use a spoon for your bone folder. And I don't have everything home that you guys are gonna get in your kit. For instance, I don't have a ruler, so I'm just gonna use this so I can have a straight edge. And I don't have a cutting mat, which you guys are all getting a nice, brand new, beautiful green cutting mat. I'm gonna use a magazine. So if you don't have any of your supplies yet, you can make do with whatever you got in your house, right? We're artists, we're creative. I also have here a glue brush. Now you guys have all gotten a brush in your kit. Some of them are different shapes than other ones, but it doesn't matter. They all do the same thing. This one I bought specially for bookbinding. So if you love bookbinding, you might want to invest in a beautiful glue brush, but it's by no means necessary. And then in here is PVA, which is basically just glue that is acid free, and it's used for bookbinding and other paper arts. Okay, so now we're gonna start by folding our accordion book. It's easiest to do it the way I'm going to show you, but there's other ways you can do it as well, and there are other videos that you can do, but this is a good way to start. My final book's going to have 8 pages. So the first thing I have to do is fold it in half. Now to do that, I line up the corners together, and I try to be really precise about it because this is going to be the beginning of your whole book, and if you get this fold wrong, then the other ones might be wrong, and then the whole thing could be crooked. It's really important you just take a minute, just an extra 10 seconds, and really get it nice and good. Then, with your finger, you go all the way to the edge, like that, and then you fold from the middle out with your bone folder. And that gives you like a nice sharp edge. The reason you always start in the center and out is because if you start in the edge and go in, then what's going to happen is going to get crooked. So you don't want that. This is the best way to get a nice, even crease. Okay, so now we want to fold it in half again. This time we go towards the center. So once again, you want to get it nice and neat, nice and even. Bone folder, and to the other side. I'll do this one with the spoon. So you can see, you can do it with the spoon as well. Okay, now we have 4 pages, but we want to have 8, so we're halfway there. If you flip it over, you're gonna get mountains, right, where they all fold pointing up. Now you want to add folds in between that are going to be the valleys. So they're going to be folds folding down. So to do that, you take this edge and bring it to this edge, and you line it up really nice and neat. Get your bone folder underneath, so just so you can see. I'll flip that up. Okay. And then the same thing with this page as well. You get it lined up. Okay, so it looks like that. Now we're gonna do the other side. So if you remember what we did is we took this edge to the middle edge. Okay, so just so you can see, I'll hold this away. And then finish off with the final page. So now we have an accordion book. If you want your pages to be a different shape, like this is very long and skinny, maybe you want them to be squares, then you should just have your strip be longer and shorter. So it totally just depends what shape you want it to be. It can be anything you want. And now, let's say I want to make it more pages. So I already have the other one that I made earlier. And I can just glue them together. Like that, and then I can have more pages. You don't have to do a whole page as well. You can just cut a little strip and then just glue that little strip. So let's try that, just in case that's what you guys want to do. So I'll show you how to do it. You don't have to, but it's a good skill for you to know how to do. Okay. So take your ruler and measure out . So I want to make sure it's even. Okay, that looks good actually. And then you can glue it like this. So, in case you can't see, there's a little strip, and you're going to glue it on the other paper like that. So, in order to do that, we have to get it all ready and glued up. So it's going to be like this. Okay. Now here's the deal. Okay, we don't want to put glue on this side because how will you make it exactly the right size? If you go over it, there'll be too much glue. If you go under it, then it won't stick as well. So you always want to put glue on the shorter side and then stick it together. So in order to do this, we're going to take a scrap piece of paper and stick it in there. And the reason we do this is to protect this from the glue. Take your glue brush. And one thing I want to say about the glue brush is you always want to clean it right away. As soon as you're done with your project or whatever you're working on, clean it right away. Don't let it sit. It'll get hard and dried out and ruined, and you'll have to buy another brush. So you just put the glue on like this. Okay. Then you can remove this, and you're left with only glue perfectly on the little edge right there. So you want it like this. I'm gonna take another scrap paper actually, not that one because it's already full of glue. Stick it in there, just make our lives a little easier. And then you're gonna put this line up corner to corner. Like that. Use your bone folder. The other edge, it's rounded, and you can use that to rub. And then you can also go from this side as well. Okay. So now you have a book that is, I guess it would be 15 pages because I had to cut off some of the page, right? So you can make whatever length you want. You can always cut off pages and you can always add more pages. Now we want to make a cover. So I have this old postcard. So all those postcards you get at art shows are great for this. Or you can use the colored paper that I sent home in your packs. So you want to cut this, you want to make 2 of them, and you want to make them a little bigger than your pages. You could also do exactly the same size if you want, but I like to do it a little bigger because that way it protects the pages better and it looks really nice. So In order to do that, you first have to measure how big you want your covers to be. So I made mine about 1/4 centimeter bigger on all sides, but you can do however you want. You can make it just a hair bigger, you can make it like a whole centimeter bigger, I guess. I mean, why not? You know, it's up to you. So I'm just gonna make some marks. I'm eyeballing it in this situation. It's the test book, but you know, when you get to more finished projects, you're gonna want to actually measure. Okay, so now we're gonna cut it. Sometimes it takes more than one cut. Okay, now we have to go the other way. Now that's one cover, but I still need to make 2. So you can look on where you want it, but just to keep it easier for me, I'm going to make it go into the corner. So I only have to cut twice. So you want it to match pretty much exactly. So once again, take your time to get it right. Okay. All right, looks good. Always test it, hold it together, and make sure it's actually exactly the same. Now, if one side's a little bigger, easy, just trim it. But you want to do that before you put it on the book, not after, right? So I think it's always easiest to make your pages before your cover, and then fit your cover to your pages. I find this to be the easiest way. So now we want this to be glued on like that, and we want this one to be glued on like that. Okay, so to do that, once again, we're gonna need our trusty test paper, or our scrap paper rather, but remember there's glue right there, so we wanna use the other side to stay away from that glue. Once it's dry, we could use that side again, but it's not gonna be dry for a while, so. Okay. So now let's stick this in here, like that, once again. And this time you're gonna put glue over the whole thing. So I always like to start by the edge, the folded edge side, and then move out so it doesn't wrinkle. And it also ensures that you get all of it covered completely. Get that out of the way. So this would have been better to do it ahead of time, right? That's okay. Just put little marks where you want it to go. Okay. There we go. Now, we can easily just put it in the corner we want it, and in the corner where we want it. Like that. It's a little bit off, so we just sort of get it right. Okay, just move it till you're happy, and now you use your bone folder again. All right, so let's do the other one. This time, let's be smart and actually line it up like this so that it's even. Okay, so when we're happy with that, we'll just make little marks where we want it to go. So once again, take your scrap paper. Let's see, there's no glue on this side, so we'll use that side. You don't want to put too much glue that the whole thing becomes a giant sloppy mess, but you don't want to put too little glue that it doesn't get everything covered in glue. So it's just like, you know, practice makes perfect in getting that. Okay, put that aside. Let me make sure these are lined up the right way. Nope, they weren't. That's correct. Okay, good. Okay, so you like it. Move it a little while it's still wet. Now we're gonna burnish it down. Okay, so now the proper thing to do at this juncture is to put this under weight and let it dry. Now when you put it under weight and let it dry, you want to also put scrap paper in it because this is wet and it's going to soak into this paper and it might make it get wrinkly. So we don't want that. So we're going to find, what was the edge? This edge is gluey, this edge is clean. Okay, great. We're going to put that right there. And let's get another one. Okay, this edge is not gluey. Great. Just grab a new piece of paper too. And then you want to put another piece of scrap paper on top, and then a heavy book. Let it sit. How long? You know, even overnight is the best, but at least an hour so that it can get nice and flat and dry flat. Because if you let it dry without weight on it, it'll dry wrinkly. And that is how you make an accordion book with a cardstock cover. One last thing is you should wash your brush. Just water or even soap and water is better, but make sure it's really clean. Do a thorough job. You'll be happy that you did, and working with a dried out brush is the worst.